You mother grabbers, get in here!
Timeout, 30 seconds. Start it now, please.
Hey, what's up? My name is Munchie. I'm a professional former athlete just like you or somebody you know, and this is 30 or Full. Before we get started, I want to make sure you do 3 things. 1, hit the like button. 2, hit the subscribe button. And 3, make sure you turn on your notifications so you can get future updates on all things on our content hub called the Wash Pod. Now, you might be asking, what the heck is a professional former athlete? Well, a professional former athlete, by our definition, is somebody who stays inspired, challenged, and empowered in life after sports to define the prime of their life story by something other than their competitive athletic career. In this segment, we are covering our mental and emotional wellness assessment perspective. Again, for us, professional former athletes, we compete with ourselves individually in an objective fashion to try to continue to keep score of things in our life that matter, that make us better people, just the way we did as athletes. The wins, the losses, the points, the rebounds, touchdowns, the home runs, all of that was something that we kept track of. And we tried to transition that line of thinking, that competitiveness, to something that can help you after sports when things aren't as cut and dry. So in this area, on the heels of the Super Bowl, one of the things we often don't talk about, or the popular culture doesn't talk about, is the losers of games like this. Often the Super Bowl winners are celebrated. You see them all over the place. They have the t-shirts, the hats, all that good stuff. The confetti falls. One team is put up on the podium, they get up there, they accept the trophy, and the other team walks sadly to the locker room, and you kind of see them dejected at the podium post-game interviews and things like that. But what you don't see is the work that the athletes do then from that moment to continue to propel themselves forward, build themselves back up, work on the issues that led to them maybe not being as successful individually and then collectively. So that's all we're talking about here, is what does loss mean? Maybe some different perspectives on loss from my perspective as one individual professional former athlete to another in an effort to spark the conversation, and then also invites you to try to take a stab at our mental and emotional 5-minute wellness assessment. So there's things like breath work, there's things like CO2 tolerance that impact your ability to manage and react or respond to stressors or negative emotions you might be feeling, on top of just asking yourself questions about things that maybe you've never been asked before. Just because you're an athlete, you may not have been exposed to some things. So check that out. We'll link that in the description. And yeah, hope you like it. Hope you find it valuable. And if you do, check us out, oldandwashedup.com/washpod. You can give us some feedback. There's a little widget on there. You can go in and click a button and record some audio, send it to us. Let us know what you think. Let us know how we can make it better. Again, it's all about mental emotional health. We invite you to not stop keeping score by using one of our 5-minute assessments, and then go from there. So with that, I'll stop talking. You guys be easy. Peace. And it's funny that even winners lose. We just saw that, right? If you watch the Super Bowl, it's 2 teams vying on the biggest sports stage. Somebody won and somebody lost. Even winners lose. You know, you think about it, even there are no undefeated Hall of Famers, right? It's kind of interesting to think about, right? It's pretty crazy to think about that, right? There's nobody that is played in any sport. No sports Hall of Fame has an undefeated person or team, truly undefeated. I mean, maybe a season, but even the undefeated teams have lost at some point in time, right? Just think about that. It's kind of crazy. You know, something that's kind of very unique to athletes. And if I'm being honest, it's not overly something that I haven't dealt with. I've lost a lot. And if you talk to many former athletes in a setting that allows them to be honest, they'll probably say the same thing. No matter what level of winner you call them. As athletes, it's the beautiful irony of our existence. You know, the most dominant of us on the playing field may be completely timid or docile in other areas of life. And for me, this has been a struggle. You know, a lack of confidence in myself has always been both the foundation for my work ethic and consistency, and allowed me to be competitive, but also the reason I didn't pursue certain things, because loss was a thing I had to learn to deal with. Sometimes, like, the shots that I didn't take are the reason why I lost. And I'm not just talking about sports. You know, from professional opportunities, even in my 30s, romantic situations. There's definitely been a common theme in my life about loss. And I consider myself a winner, but man, have I lost a lot. And when I really think about it, where should I start? I've lost multiple romantic relationships due to the inability to be vulnerable and fearful of emotional pain. I've lost different opportunities due to fear of rejection. I've lost friendships while selfishly committed to personal pursuits and aspirations. I've lost relationships due to the inability to communicate effectively. And with each, there's been a period of time for me between the loss and getting back up. And it really just, looking at it now, represented that space that I needed to find my footing again. And sometimes that meant literal space away from others. And then other times that space is just a space and time for me to dive into other habits and pursuits that give me that confidence to reconnect to, who I knew I am. If you're a former athlete like me, I know that you know the feeling. You may not be ready to admit it, but I know you know the feeling. And if you look at any losing team's locker room, like the team that just lost the Super Bowl, you'll see some representation of what loss does to some people. Some people will be silent. Some will be shifting focus to find solace in helping others. Some won't want any part of the group, kind of isolating themselves. And some will be finding the smallest bit of humor in an obvious attempt to avoid pain. And some might actually be just smiling, kind of numb to it. Now, big point is none are right or wrong, or what you should or shouldn't be feeling. Whatever feeling you are feeling as a competitor in that moment or as a person in that moment is just right for you. And if it's true to you and you're being honest and allowing yourself to feel that, it's neither right nor wrong. The feelings just are what they are. And the only thing that can really be wrong, and what I'm understanding as a 36, soon to be 37-year-old, is to not acknowledge that whatever feeling loss brings about in you is the feeling it brings. Now, why is that? Well, in my opinion, because the way we lose in sports can give us a sneak peek into where we are on our emotional individual journeys. See, the losses of sports for me gave me a glimpse into how pain manifests in me, and how that internal amalgamation of hormones and electrical signals come to the surface for me, and how they result in some sort of action and some sort of reaction or inaction sometimes in me. And I like to believe in other people.
Message!
Chili Tita!
Both to the outside world and to those around us, those families, friends, teammates. And then from this, I think a lesson can be learned about who we are in that moment, about how we process emotions, and about what space we may be in our individual lives or careers or journeys within different endeavors.
Message!
Chili Tita!
So what better time to talk about loss than right after the Super Bowl? Because I think this is the hidden gem of sports and how invaluable they can become in shaping who we become if we know how to see these moments correctly. At this very moment, even as I record this, after watching the Super Bowl, I'm still battling recent losses in my life, while at the same time at peace with being able to finally express that without regret or fear. As a young competitor, I couldn't adequately verbalize feelings loss brought about me. There's no way. Because when my team lost, man, I cried, real tears, real deal tears. Ask anybody that knew me. But it was from a want to win, at least I thought. At 36, I can say now it was really from a want to feel validated by the win more than the win itself, because the image I held of myself did not involve one where losses were expected to be part of the process.
Message!
Chili Tita!
So unable to digest what this unexpected event was for me as a young competitor, I gave the rawest representation of sadness, frustration, and anger I could give at that age. Today, my losses manifest a bit differently, typically like a calmer emotional storm. Fanning my competitive fire as a lifetime competitor hasn't really changed, but I know how to let the light and heat of that fire shine and burn differently. I know now how to not let emotions control the way I respond to things, but to respond to them. I still trip up from time to time. I still take punches here and there that require me to like gather myself, maybe pull away a bit, regroup my defenses, and then, kind of muster up the energy and courage to go back in the fight. But the difference now is, as a former athlete, I know that the fight is not with anyone other than me in terms of fighting emotions and what those emotions do. And I can see the thread between different emotional moments and what those moments led me to do. And to me, that's dope.
Message.
Chili Peter.
The opportunity, because of sports, is not really in the ability to shoot the shot, but the ability to realize that opportunities abound if you keep playing the game. Not opportunities to win whatever specific game we may be playing at that specific moment, but bigger opportunities to take the person you were to a higher level with each result. Call it a win or a loss. So even the Super Bowl losers are better today for having lost. And we, as old and washed up athletes, are still people that can improve, because we're the only consistent thing between all of those wins and losses in our life. As long as we don't lose us or lose sight of who we're becoming in the process. Because really, a win, when you break it down, a win is not a win. A loss is not a loss. They just are what they are. It's a game at the end of the day. If you count it all joy, or at least count it, then it's all good in the end, right?
Message.
Pick it up. Pick it up. Pick it up.
Old is dope. I believe that to be the case. Don't stop keeping score. Peace. All right, that was 30 or Fool. This is a portion of our podcast segments where we hope to get some feedback from you to continue to make these things better. Again, the whole point of this is to start a conversation around things that are unique to former athletes like you and me and like people to hopefully draw the conversations to how we can continue to improve and continue to compete with ourselves in life after sports to be better than we ever were as athletes, better people, not necessarily athletes. So in line with that, to get some feedback, we've put up a widget on our webpage at oldandwashedup.com/washpod. Again, that's oldandwashedup.com, all one word, and not an ampersand. There's an and there, .com/washpod. If you go there, just go there and click the appropriate button. It will literally tell you this is the appropriate button. I have an arrow down there, and you'll see it. All you got to do is click it, enter your information, your email address, and your name, and then you can record an audio recording, and it'll go directly to us, and we will hopefully bring that up in our next podcast segments that we release, and kind of speak to what we believe to be, the topic or a question, and try to answer if we can. So again, we appreciate your feedback in advance. Before we close out, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button, that subscribe button, and turn on your notifications for future releases of the Wash Pod. And this has been 30 or Fool. We appreciate you. Hope to hear from you. Peace.